Hello, friends and mental health allies. This is the BPD Warrior, and I'm here today to talk about suicide, actually. First, I want to address my hair, though. They cut it way too short. The woman who did it was a bitch, and she didn't cut it short enough, and then she got it way too short, and I tipped her $1. I guess I need to go somewhere else, but it will grow out. So today I took safeTALK. This is my certificate, which is a 3-hour class by LivingWorks. I think their website is livingworks.com. It is for suicide alertness, a way to identify the signs that someone may be suicidal and what to do next. In the past, I've taken Assist, which is another suicide first aid class, and it's a suicide first aid class, and it's much more intensive. It's a 16-hour class. So it was a good class. Our instructor was Amy. She was really great. She did a great job. Everybody had like so many questions and so much good stuff to say that we went over like half an hour. But it was really good. It actually was very difficult though when we were going through the indicators for when someone might be suicidal. I was thinking about when I was younger, when I first was first suicidal. I actually told people. I had an online blog about it, and not only did people not respond or talk to me about suicide, they made fun of me. They said I was making it up for attention, that if I was really depressed, I would kill myself, and that the world would be better off without me. I talked to my mom, and she said that we'd bring me to a therapist, and never did. And my guidance counselor called me in the last 5 minutes of the school day because my friends had told her I was cutting, and she asked if I was cutting, and I said no. And then she was like, "Okay, you can go get the bus." And it was winter, so I was wearing long sleeves, so she couldn't tell. So it was hard. During the class, I actually met Ann Moss Rogers, who is a parent of someone who suicided. We try not to use the term commit suicide. It's because that makes it sound, yeah, that's a whole other subject, but her son suicided, and we met on Twitter. So this was the first time I met her in real life. And so I burst into tears at one point during the presentation, and she leaned over and was hugging me and, rubbing my shoulder and stuff. So it was very nice of her. And the tissue box was right beside me, so it was hard. It was a hard class, but it was good. I mean, it was kind of a refresher on Assist, but I learned a lot of interesting facts that I thought I would share with you guys today. First, safeTALK TALK is the acronym, and it stands for Tell, Ask, Listen, Keep Safe. So you look for the tells or indicators that someone may be suicidal. And we use the word indicators, not warning signs, because warning signs sounds negative. So we look for the indicators that someone may be suicidal. You ask them directly. I knew this from Assist, but if you think someone is suicidal, you're not going to put the idea in their head if you ask them. You ask them directly, are you suicidal? And don't say want to hurt yourself or thinking about killing yourself. Say suicide, because I guess killing yourself would be okay, but don't say do you want to harm yourself, because that's not as direct. And then so you need to ask them directly if they're suicidal. Then listen to their responses, let them talk, and actively listen. Don't think of the next thing you're going to be saying, and don't try to fix any of their problems. Just listen to them. Then find a way to keep them safe, which is to connect them to a resource like the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, or like a school counselor or a family member or someone who's Assist trained like me, that sort of thing. So that's what the acronym stands for. I think it should be TALKS, safeTALKS, because there's a very important step when you've been dealing with someone who is suicidal, and that's self-care. Because you've just been through something that could be pretty traumatic. a traumatic experience. So you really need to take care of yourself, and do some self-soothing after you've handled the situation and gotten them to another resource. Um, so that's what basically the summary of the classes. So some facts that I picked up was 120 or 5% of the population think about suicide in a given 2-week period. So if you're in a grocery store, you can assume 5% of the people are thinking about suicide. In your school, you might be thinking 5% of the people are thinking about suicide. It's a lot of people. Not all of them end up committing, or I mean, I'm sorry, they end up suiciding because we can help. There's things we can do, like I just listed. There was actually a girl there. She was a senior in high school. She was there with her mom, and 2 girls at their school had suicided this past month. So they asked me to contact the school and offer to speak there, because the school needs it. They need help. And the instructor of safeTALK's, Amy, she's actually going to go to the school as well, to help the students. So it's very sad, and I'm glad that I was there to make that connection, especially. So less than 2% of suicides are impulsive, meaning that people think about it for a long time before they do it. I actually had a lot of impulsive suicide attempts, where it would be like I'd get in a fight with my boyfriend and then immediately swallow a bunch of pills and then regret it like 5 minutes later. That's part of the impulsivity of BPD. But so people will think about it before they do it, which means there is time to stop it. That's the good news. And when you ask the person if they're suicidal, it actually comforts them. A lot of people who are asked are like, "I'm so glad you asked because I want to talk about this." And that, when they've been giving the indicators that they're suicidal, they want someone to reach out to them. A lot of times people will claim that someone's looking for attention. Give it to them. They want attention, give them attention. They need attention. So don't say that people are looking for attention, so give it to them, but they're not doing it, they're not attention seeking. It's not to make themselves look cool or something. It's a serious thing. Someone who has committed suicide, who has suicided, I'm still trying to learn not to say commit suicide, as you can see. Someone who has suicided is 40 times more likely to do it again. Yeah, most suicides happen with someone who has attempted suicide in the past. There's a book called Night Falls Fast, I think, and it's by K.J. Jamison Redfield, who wrote An Unquiet Mind, which is a very popular bipolar memoir, and it's all about suicide. I read it after my first attempt, and it's very interesting, and it's got a lot of facts about suicide, a lot of personal stories, and even like historical ones. Like, did you know that Meriwether Lewis from Lewis and Clark suicided? That was interesting, I thought. So another thing, someone said this during the class, and I thought it was very interesting. She said that their brain is having an attack. And that's an interesting way to put suicidal thoughts, is your brain is having an attack. I thought that was just interesting and took note of that. So the 2 most interesting facts I found out was 3 days after a psychiatric unit visit, people are most vulnerable to suicide. That's why the National Suicide Prevention Hotline actually discourages hospitalization, or tries to keep people out of the hospital. I mean, if you need to be hospitalized, you need to be hospitalized, but they try to not hospitalize people. They try to find them resources in the community, which I thought was very interesting. I never suicided after a hospitalization. Usually I was like, I'm never going back again, and then would end up back. But not since 2000. 13, I think, a few years. Um, but that was interesting. And the other interesting fact was, up until 3 years ago, if you have an iPhone and you told Siri that you were thinking about killing yourself, it would give you directions to the nearest bridge. How fucked up is that? Thankfully, they changed it, and now Siri gives you the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number. But I can't believe that it put that joke in there, because some people may only talk to their phones. I know there was a Big Bang Theory for a while. Raj would only talk to Siri so he could have conversation because he couldn't talk to girls. So those were the two most interesting things that I learned. So it was a very good class. Hard, personally, emotionally. I felt pretty drained afterward. I was supposed to go to my friend's house, but I was like, I need to go home. But it was a good class. I'm glad I took it. And I'm going to start working on a speech for the high school, even if, in case they want me to speak. I don't know if they will, but hopefully they will, because the kids need help right now. James River High School in Richmond, Virginia. My condolences to anyone related to that. The girl there was pretty upset, and I gave her my condolences as well. Her mom started crying at one point during the presentation, and I picked up the tissue box and brought it over to her. And she had brought it back, luckily, because I ended up crying shortly after that. But it was tough. But the people were really interesting. I gave everybody a business card. I got some business cards back. I told everyone I was a public speaker so that they could hopefully get me some gigs. But it was a good class. So that's some information about suicide, and that's the safeTALK thing. Just so you know, it took me like 5 videos to do this. 5. Alright, BPD Warriors, see you later.